Gotta keep it pushing. Can't let the government tell me how my future looking. I'm on Rosecrans and Central trying to duck the central bookings. If the fucking pigs get behind me, then you know I'm booking. Never will I surrender. I've been a warrior when I came out my mom's placenta. In the gutter lane like a master splinter. How splendid, I guess my project had did it. Got all these niggas approaching they mixtapes different. They said 7 tracks, I said 15. Called it an EP, they said I'm tripping. But little did they know I'm trying to change the rules that we've been confined to, so the corporate won't make decisions. Uppity bitches, handling business, killing our dreams, stealing our vision. Out in Haiti, adolescents barely have a home. In LA, everybody think they fucking on. Hop on Twitter, perpetrate, we doing big shit. Who we hanging with and bragging about the iPhone. I swear to God, most of y'all cats just don't know Kendrick. You barely know yourself, so I guess most of y'all should be offended. Ain't doing this for my health, I'm trying to purchase my mom and them business. Occupying my time with riches, justifying my time ambition. Just to coincide, just to go inside, books behind the lives while we live. And look, the mastermind took the mastermind, just the perfect time, just the mastermind, just the master ground with precision. Look, the mastermind took the...
We would like to call this an appreciation.
What's up, y'all? It's Jay Moore. It is October the 5th, man. Time's just rolling. That was my man Kendrick right there. One of the first and one of my most favorite songs that I heard from him. The reason I played him is because he's, in my opinion, a lyrical genius. There's a few cats out there that I respect like him, where it's almost as if their music never gets old in my mind, anyways, because you can listen to it over and over and over and pick up on things after you heard it for the 70th time, and you just heard something new, because that's how deep and how much work they put into their music, and I really appreciate that. And also, that level of creativity. I feel like that's what we're dealing with these laws, man. They some of them. I mean, you notice when there's probably something that's a statute or somewhere, there might be a little remedy in there for you, because it does not make any sense, or it just is out of place. And I have a statute I'm gonna show you towards the end of this video, that it just really had me like, whoa, I still don't really quite understand exactly what they're laying out, but I'll get to that. But yeah, I just feel like these people, Kendrick Lamar, he uses it for good and positivity, this creativity that he has, where he can use his mind to just manipulate words in such a beautiful way that you can have you enjoying music for a long time, a long lasting enjoyment that you're going to get from a record or an album or whatever. These people that we're dealing with in this so-called government here, that are making these laws that are lulling people to sleep, because they just don't understand the words or what they're reading, if they even took the time to read a few. They're just really abusing that same creativity and art Kendrick's working with, and they are just tearing people's lives apart, aka child support, all through some word trickery. They got a bunch of us really out here really out here struggling, and it's not cool. And anyways, that's why I kind of chose a lyricist like that, kind of tie into what I was going to talk about. It's going to be a quick video, hopefully. The reason I decided to make one real quick, I've been studying all day. I'm real tired. I'm about to hop into bed after this, actually, but I seen some really good things about separation of powers, and I just wanna reiterate to you guys that is a 100% valid argument. I got thrown off my game, and I was not as prepared as I should have been, even though I knew all the things to say. Just the way I got kind of tangled up in the all the games they play in there, I didn't deliver probably a couple of things I really should have that might have really kind of locked them into a corner where, you know, they would have had a hard time getting out of them. But it just didn't work that way. And a lot going on, and just got in the heat of the battle a little bit, and I missed a couple opportunities I think to really nail them down on a couple points with separation of powers. So again, guys, you should probably be studying several different violations where that they're doing, because there are several. It's really ridiculous actually how many it is. But that's another good one. I would look into those arguments if you feel like you're going to use it, because I feel like it's actually very strong if you deliver it correctly. It's just with the right authoritative law or case law that will back it up. I really don't know what they're gonna say. They're gonna have a hard time, and I think they had a hard time with me. It seemed like she was, she was kind of battling too. Like I wasn't. It was not easy for her to just dismiss what I was talking about. I stayed right on point. But anyways, and with that argument too, like I was explaining to you guys when I asked the judge, are you allowed to sit in on cases where you have a financial interest? What I was really asking is, well, you're under contract through, as an agent for this agency administering the program. And so, a contract obviously equals some type of money changing hands, and you can't be sitting on no case where that's happening. That's basically what I was saying. And that's why I was trying to get across that, that's why this is separation of powers, because you are working out of the executive branch right now. I didn't really accuse her of being in her judicial capacity, and also getting paid by the other side. But even though that happens on pretty much every case anyways, because they're all working for the state. So anytime you're against the state, which is another reason why they're really not allowed to have any dealings with us as men and women unless we didn't hurt somebody, because every case that they're sitting on, their employer is going to be able to sway how they want them to operate if they want to keep their job. So with that hanging over their head, that is not an appropriate setting to be conducting, to try to be administering law. So that's why the whole system's just upside down. But anyways, just to solidify that again, though, I found another law about these judges and the courts and all the other people getting paid. This is we're in the Code of Federal Regulations now. We're in Title 20 or 45. Let's see, what do we got here? Title 45, Office of Child Support Enforcement. Right here, Chapter 3. I don't know where Chapter 1 is. And then we are at 302, State Plan Requirements. Okay, and I believe we are down here at where is it at? Okay, here it is. I always lose it. Cooperative arrangements. Those cooperative arrangements we was talking about. Okay. It says the state plan shall provide that the state will enter into agreements. So, we should probably know that that's some type of financial thing, which are reflected in a record for cooperative arrangements under 303-107, this chapter, with appropriate courts. And it says, you can repeat that same thing and say with law enforcement officials, such as district attorneys, attorney generals, and similar public attorneys and prosecutors. corrections officials, and Indian tribes of tribal organizations. Such arrangements may be entered into with a single official covering more than one court, official, or agency if the single official has the legal authority to enter into arrangements on behalf of the courts, officials, or agencies. Such arrangements shall contain provisions for providing courts and law enforcement officials with pertinent information needed in locating non-custodial parents, establishing paternity, and securing support, to the extent that such information is relevant to the duties to be performed pursuant to the arrangement. They shall also provide for assistance to the Title 4D agency in carrying out the program, and may relate to any other matters of common concern. Under matters of common concern, such arrangements may include provisions for the investigation and prosecution of fraud directly related to paternity and child support and spousal support, and provisions to reimburse courts and law enforcement officials for their assistance. So let's just break that down, because they got it mixed up pretty good, but it's not too bad. So they're saying that this is what's going to be the state plan. The state plan is going to have to do this. They're going to provide, it says it's going to provide that the state is going to enter into agreement, so they're going to contract, and it says which are reflected in records, so it's going to be written down somewhere, for cooperative arrangements with appropriate courts. So, that right there already definitely sounds like a contractual arrangement, financial arrangement for a court to be involved in something. That's never okay. And then it talks about your district attorneys, attorney generals, public counsel, anybody. It's letting you know anybody that's dealing with this is coming in through contract. The interesting part here, it says such arrangements may be entered into with a single official covering more than one court, official, or agency. So basically, and it says if the single official has a legal authority to enter into arrangements on behalf of the court. So it's basically saying, some top dog at whatever level they decide can arrange these contracts. So, if they wanted it so that, some certain attorneys and all that who are doing this don't even know that they're under contract because their boss's boss, who had the authority to make those kind of arrangements, as the statute is providing, he already made that arrangement. So the fact that you're working for him and he's telling you how to do your job, you're gonna do your job, and so that's why I think there's a lot of idiots out here that don't even understand that what they're doing is totally illegal, because you might have cats up at the top that are signing these contracts, and it's covering a whole blanket of people, and then some they may let know, some they don't, and however they decide to do that. But and then so I thought that was interesting. Then when you come down, it says such arrangements shall contain provisions for providing courts and law enforcement officials with pertinent information needed in locating non-custodial parents, establishing paternity and secure support, to the extent that such information is relevant to the duties to be performed pursuant to the arrangement. So they're saying, they're letting you know to the extent that this is going to be your job. So we're not slowing down and asking any questions. This is what we're doing. The way they write stuff is so crazy to me, and it's really messed up. And then at the end, it talks about they provide persistence in carrying out the program. So it's definitely letting you know the court is involved with this executive matter. And then it says, and then this is funny. Yeah, it says, and may relate to any other matters of common concern. Under matters of common concern, such arrangements may include provisions for the investigation and prosecution of fraud directly related to paternity and child and spousal support. Oh, and provisions to reimburse courts and law enforcement officials for their assistance. So see, I was talking about the courts are going to assist the agency, but then just to kind of throw you off, they throw in here that, well, they're also going to be investigating fraud. Where does fraud even come in this statute? We weren't talking nothing about fraud, penalties, or anything like that. But you threw it in right before you decide to say, oh yeah, and by the way, don't forget, we shall provide that the courts will be reimbursed for their assistance to this program. So man, clear as day, right there at the end. These guys are, they're sitting there getting paid to send you to hell, and they already know what's coming before you get there. Nothing you say is gonna matter unless you come in with the correct way and the correct information. If you don't know anything that's going on, you don't stand a chance. They're getting paid to perform, and I guarantee they will absolutely not let anybody through the cracks that does not have any clue about their rights. Guaranteed. It's pretty sad. Now this is the one that tripped me out. Wearing the Code of Federal Regulations again, and I'm gonna ask for whoever. I know there's a couple guys out there that listen kind of regular. Help me out with this if you can. It says the establishing paternity and securing support. Tell me what you think about this, because this sounds like something's going down in here. Let me just go ahead and read it real quick. It says the state plan shall provide that A, the Title 4D agency will undertake, the case of a child born out of wedlock, respect to whom an assignment is defined. This chapter is effective to establish the paternity of such child. Okay, so we already know that. That's not a big deal. Okay, this is where it gets a little strange. The Title IV agency will undertake, in the case of any individual with respect to whom an assignment is assigned, in the case of any individual with respect to whom an assignment as defined in 303(1) of this chapter is effective, to secure support for a child or children from any person who is legally liable for such support, using state laws regarding interstate and interstate establishment and enforcement of support obligations. Effective October 1st, 1985, this includes securing support for a spouse or former spouse who is living with the child or children, but only if a support obligation has been established for that spouse and the child support obligation is being enforced under the Title 40 state plan. I think there's remedy in that right there, and it took me a couple times of reading it, but it seemed like they cluttered it up with unnecessary stuff. Let me see if I can break it down how I had it earlier. Basically, it's saying the Title 4D agency will undertake. So that means they're going to attempt. They're going to give it a shot. It's not saying they will. It says they will undertake. So, so it will undertake to secure support for a child or children from any person who is legally liable for such support. So they're gonna try to secure it, and they're letting you know they're only gonna try to do it from people who are legally liable. And on top of that, it's still an undertaking. And like again, it's talking about in the case with respect to whom an assignment is defined. So to me, that sounds like they're saying once we get that assignment of rights, which gives us the go ahead to go ahead and start working on getting this support from them. Once that happens, then we will undertake to try and secure this support. And then it also says, and then also, this includes securing support from a spouse or former spouse who's living with a child or children. But then it goes on to say, but only if a support obligation has been established for that spouse, and the child support obligation is being enforced under the Title 40 state plan. So only if, and it concentrates on those key things our man Osiris talked about, assignment of rights, the Title 4D plan, legally liable, all type of terms that sound contractual, and nothing about really law, nothing that says like, we will enforce child support obligations after it is determined that a man that is that man's child. They would have some language like that where it was just clear cut, but they're trying to play so many games. They're going all over the place, but they're not really ever really talking about you. They're talking about all these you and your obligation. They're talking about all these contractual sounding type obligations. Okay, so and it goes 3. The Title 4D agency will undertake 3. When assigned medical support payments are received and retained by a non-Title 4D agency recipient, Title 4D agency shall notify the Medicaid agency whenever it discovers that directly received medical support payments are being or have been retained. That one I don't really worry about. I didn't even need to read it. And then it goes into B. The state plan shall provide that upon receiving notice of a claim of good cause for failure to cooperate, the Title 4D agency will suspend all activities to establish paternity or secure support until notified of a final determination by the appropriate agency. So we know what good cause is. I actually have it here. Good cause, a legal term denoting adequate or substantial grounds or reason to take a certain action or fail to take an action prescribed by law. So it's saying, upon receiving a notice of, a good enough reason for a failure to cooperate, they're not going to enforce child support. But then, and the definition, it doesn't really define what good cause is. They made it seem like, I've seen before that, it has something to do with incest or some type of violence. I don't like they're scared to prosecute a man just because he's violent. I'm sure they would love to throw him in jail and just keep racking up more fees on him. So I don't see why they would care at all why he's violent, and that's why I think that good cause comes with a lot more definitions than what they provide. But like I said, now it says they'll stop or they won't go forward with trying to secure support. But it says until notified of a final determination by appropriate agency. That still sounded kind of fishy. And then C just really made it sound fishy to me. C says, the Title 40 agency will not undertake to establish paternity or secure support in any case for which it has received notice that there has been a finding of good cause unless there has been a determination that support enforcement may proceed without the participation of the caretaker or other relative. If there has been such a determination, the Title 40 agency will undertake to establish paternity and secure support, but may not involve the caretaker or other relative in such undertaking. That sounds really suspect. Like this is some type of loophole for the child support agency to be able to do what they're doing to us. Now it's saying, again, it's repeating that the agency will not undertake to establish paternity or secure support, which you guys know are the things that lock you in. That establishment of paternity, that contract. And then once they get that, they'll attempt to secure support. And then it's saying it will not undertake to do those things in any case where it has received notice of a finding of good cause. But then it goes on to say, but unless there's a determination that support enforcement may proceed without the participation of the caretaker. Now, I'm looking at this two ways. Because it's kind of an open-ended statute. One, maybe they're saying, okay, if for some reason if this man thinks this woman is putting the child support on him, he's gonna go nuts and do something to her because there's been some type of history of violence or whatever. And so they proceed without her ever being around or anything, so that, maybe it doesn't seem like she's involved, but she still gets her benefits. That would be acceptable if any of these statutes were constitutional and legal. My interpretation of that would be okay if there was a situation like that, and she wasn't around, so maybe it would make them think it's not so much her doing this. I'm okay with that. But it also sounds like what they're saying is, she won't get her benefits, but they're still going to try to attempt to collect. It seems like it leaves room for that interpretation where, because maybe she doesn't want to put them on, and she says no thank you, whatever, what she's allowed to do because it's voluntary. But they still decide to go after him, and maybe they're just pocketing the money. I don't know. But I do know that is a very, very tricky, confusing statute. Either that or I'm just tired. Maybe it's really simple and I'm somehow overcomplicated it. That'd be kind of funny. But I've read it several times. I'm struggling with it. I feel like there's something up with that right there. Especially number C. Again, if there's been such a determination, the Title 4D agency will undertake to establish paternity and secure support. We know those are the contracts. So, are they saying without her presence or her really involvement, we will attempt to secure it for her, or we will attempt to secure it for the state, and she can go do whatever she's doing. She don't have to know any better. I mean, I can't imagine that would ever work, because eventually the man would be like, yo, you ain't getting no benefits. Well, what am I paying for? So, I have a hard time thinking that really that's what that's saying, because that would be nuts. But again, it definitely sounds fishy. So, hey, for the couple guys that be listening or whoever stumble across that video, help me out with that one right there. See, man, that's something that's been bothering my mind. Maybe I've been studying too much today. But I'm gonna wrap it up there, guys. I cannot figure out how to get these videos under like 15 minutes. I apologize for making, but if you hung in there, hope you learned something. Alright, y'all, we're gonna sign off with another dude who is really makes an art out of us, just spitting lyrics that are stand the test of time. Alright, y'all, be well.
What we do is just a little illegal.
There's no such thing as little illegal. It's just like being a little pregnant.
JJ, think about what you're doing to the black community. Gambling is a terrible image.
Oh, yeah, Michael? Well, I think 4 people living in a 2-bedroom apartment paying tomorrow's prices for yesterday's food is a worse image.
JJ, there are 2 roads out of the ghetto. So far, we have managed to stay on the right road.
And that's what's taking us so long to get out of here. Look, Ma, name me one dude in the projects who got a future that ain't in the rackets.
You, because you just resigned.
Oh, no, Ma, it's my way out, and I'm going to take it.
Then you can start by getting out of here.
Oh, now, come on, Ma, you're not being... Ow, Ma, let's be reasonable.
And take these things with you.
Ma, you haven't even been...
JJ, get the hell out of my house.
praise.
Trying to be a Huxtable, but predestined to be an Evans. See what luck could do if we was ever to see an exit. Keep it wonderful and leave out on good terms if it come to you. For what it does to you, or if it's worth it there. Charge it all to the game and leave your purchase there. Cause all we wanted was lane, so if we turn in there, no, we drove for as long as we could. Misunderstandings when all of us were so understood and putting hands in, trying to get a hold on some goods. I mean, Nelly said he called his mother and told her quit her job. Fuck a 16, that shit was as real as God. And as I watched that diary on Cornell, I became a fan for how he changed the doorbell. Buzzers get replaced, so fuck you feel away. I'm just trying to do that all, so give me love or give me lane and be well. Be well, be well, be well. I just hope you be well. Well enough to know where we at, one of one, and I hope you see that. And I just hope you be well, be well, be well, be well. I just hope you be well enough to know who we are. We was dreaming long enough, now that sleep shit is gone, so be well. Introspective street rap, I birthed that. I carried that flag when y'all was trying to hearse that. Now the shit is moving and it's proving you can work that. But do remember where they learned that. Hope you be well enough to know the dope from the jail and the shit that they try and give you when they throw you a cell. Cause all I ever tried to give you was all pure. I ain't going step on anything, it was all yours. I was trying to paint a couple pictures in a living room using cardboard as a canvas like this would do. And if I better do, and these is worth something, and let my mother make the sale so she could purse something, and let my pops keep his favorite out the catalog. And if my block get the spraying, I ain't mad at all. Salute something, word to Black Jesus on the wall. If not, then you won't see us anymore. And I just hope you be well, be well.